Perpetrators of horrific murder cases are predominantly male, which inevitably draws more attention to heinous crimes involving female murderers. However, a particularly atrocious murder case in South Korea in 2014 demonstrated that women, although appearing fragile and beautiful externally, can harbor a profoundly dark side. A particularly shocking aspect of this case was the weapon of choice, a chainsaw. Furthermore, the assailant vented her anger on a man with whom she had no prior animosity, only to audaciously accuse the victim of violating her afterward. Today we delve into the Paju chainsaw murder case. Ko Mi-suk was a 35-year-old woman who frequently uploaded suggestive photos on her social media, baited men, and engaged in transactional romantic relationships via direct messages. Ko Mi-suk was extremely angered when a man, who had been financially supporting her, decided to unilaterally end their relationship. Could it have been because she felt that men exploited her for transactional relationships and then discarded her? Despite her boiling rage, she sought out another man. On May 25, 2014, she messaged a seemingly ordinary man in his 50s on a paid adult chat site, saying, "Shall we be lovers who care for and love each other?" She seduced the man and successfully arranged a meeting. The agreed-upon price for the encounter was 300,000 won. Regrettably, this man told his wife that he was going to Seoul for a job interview and left the house, only to meet an unexpectedly grim fate. After meeting on a road near the Paju Unification Observatory, they drove to a remote motel in Ko Mi-suk's Chrysler in just 10 minutes. After making the victim undress, Ko Mi-suk, under the pretext of preparing for intercourse, instructed him to close his eyes. She then took out a 30-centimeter-long kitchen knife, which she had previously prepared in her bag, and first stabbed him in the neck, followed by approximately 40 other stab wounds, ultimately resulting in his death. Many people suspected that she had a criminal history because she did not administer alcohol or drugs to the victim before committing the crime. However, according to official police records, Ko Mi-suk was a first-time offender. The kitchen knife, with a handle and blade of equal length, might have been carried by Ko Mi-suk for self-defense, given her profession as an escort. However, the black tape wrapped around the handle of the confiscated knife suggested she knew the handle could slip during stabbing, causing injury to the assailant's hand. Her skillful and swift stabbing of a sober man's neck, causing instant death, also indicated her familiarity with crime-related materials. After stabbing the chest area 41 times, Ko Mi-suk moved the corpse to the bathroom to drain the blood, reducing its weight. After changing her clothes and extending her room rental, she bought 2 bags to store the upper and lower body parts separately, and purchased a chainsaw and spade for burial at a hardware store. The store owner, surprised by a woman in a black miniskirt buying a chainsaw, asked its intended use. She calmly said it was for her father in the countryside. Ko Mi-suk, strikingly beautiful and thus not arousing suspicion, then bought rings and necklaces worth 3 million won at an Ilsan jewelry store using the victim's credit card. On May 28, 2014, 2 days after the murder, she tried buying 5 million won worth of valuables at the same store. The owner, finding it odd, asked for her ID. She canceled the purchase, disappeared, and went to another store. She then swiped the card, returned to the motel, and dismembered the corpse. She put the upper body, head attached, in one bag, and the lower body and legs in another, cutting the buttocks and knee joints to fit them into the bag. Ko Mi-suk used the victim's credit card to buy mist, which she sprayed generously to eliminate the blood smell from the bedding and room. She then thoroughly cleaned the room with detergent to erase all murder traces. It was clear that Ko Mi-suk was fully aware of her actions and was actively strategizing to avoid capture. However, the soon dispatched police later confirmed a substantial amount of luminal blood reaction all around the room. At the time of the police raid, the presence of other guests in the room immediately following the murder complicated the investigation, which could have made evidence collection extremely challenging. Though she eventually was caught because she drove her own car and abandoned the body, Komi-suk audaciously engaged in additional encounters with other clients after the murder. Oddly, despite having all necessary tools for murder and disposal, she spared and released her subsequent clients. On the night of May 29, 2014, she disposed of the lower half of the torso in a concealed area of a rural road in Paju and left the upper half against a factory wall in the Namdong Industrial Complex, Incheon. 2 days later, a factory worker finishing the night shift discovered a travel bag with a foul odor and swarming flies, and he immediately reported it to emergency services, leading to Komi-suk's capture. The victim, who lost contact after leaving for a job interview on the 26th, was already reported missing and under investigation. The police had identified Komi-suk as a prime suspect, and she had purchased 3 million won worth of jewelry with the victim's credit card on the 27th. Incheon Namdong Police Station's violent crime team identified Komi-suk's vehicle through CCTV footage and urgently arrested her at her residence, an office tel in Ilsan. Despite her careful planning, Komi-suk left behind long hair strands and fingernail fragments on the red cloth used to wrap the body. The irrefutable evidence captured on CCTV included her carrying the body out of an unmanned motel, as well as the locations where she disposed of the body. Using the deceased man's card, Komi-suk went to a nearby shopping mall and bought accessories. Astonishingly, she used the victim's card to purchase the bag and electric saw used for body disposal. Initially, she confessed to the murder, stating it was because the man tried to sexually assault her and not for money. However, the police believe she committed the crime to buy jewelry. Yet, Komi-suk is not an easy person to interpret. At the time of her arrest, she sported the fashionable Cleopatra hairstyle and was adorned with luxury brands. Despite her residence costing 1 million won monthly and being filled with unopened luxury items, she had not paid rent, maintenance fees, and even her water supply was cut off. At the police station, she claimed she killed the man accidentally because he tried to confine her or touch her body parts, reversing the blame onto the victim while meticulously concealing her identity as an escort. Aware that shifting the blame for the assault onto the victim would naturally garner sympathy, Komi-suk exposed her resentment during the interrogation, saying that she was so mad that she wanted to sever the victim's head, chest, stomach, and legs. However, facing a crime scene reenactment, she recanted her statement and entirely denied her crime. Simultaneously, she exhibited strange behavior by smiling while describing the process of murder and body mutilation. The audacious Komi-suk actively approached men, consistently inquiring whether those she was about to meet would cherish and respect her. Disregarding the aggressive ones, she selected a victim who appeared the most submissive and frail. After the murder, she spent 2 nights in a motel room with the corpse, draining its blood for disposal, a stark contrast to the fear she exhibited during the interrogation. Komi-suk had a unique relationship with a man surnamed Kwon for 4 years, which ended on a sour note. Forced to work as an escort again for survival, she potentially could have created more victims. Claiming self-defense and seemingly incredulous, she laughed in front of the police, stating, "That man tried to violate me." Profiler Pyo Chang-won noted, while money is undoubtedly a motive, it is not the sole one, diagnosing Komi-suk as an extremely dangerous person. The motive for the crime could essentially be non-existent, or she might have merely desired to commit murder. The fact that she even spared another man who solicited sex indicates as much. Komi-suk, who might have relished the moment when she held the life and death of that man in her hands after meeting him, is currently suspected to have histrionic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder. However, even this cannot be definitively confirmed. Komisuk, who falsely boasted on Instagram and Facebook about graduating from a prestigious high school and university in the United States, posted photos of herself alone at famous overseas tourist spots, cultivating fantasies of luxury. Living in an unfortunate environment, Komisuk was a fashion-sensitive yet socially isolated escort. The police could not secure any statements from her acquaintances, only discovering records of past drug and counseling treatments at a psychiatric hospital. Despite experts confirming that histrionic personality disorder, characterized by extreme emotional changes, is merely a personality issue that doesn't affect decision-making abilities, she later claimed mental illness as a defense. In the first trial, the prosecutor argued she lured the victim with excessive greed for money, brutally killed and mutilated the body. Even considering the absence of any criminal record, given the mental pain inflicted on the victim's family and the societal impact, it is appropriate to isolate the defendant from society, demanding life imprisonment. Komisuk countered, claiming hallucinations and hack-chat records. She absurdly argued that even if she committed murder, it was due to mental disorder. Nonetheless, on February 4, 2015, the Incheon District Court acknowledged the murder and sentenced her to 30 years in prison. Komisuk appealed on May 15, 2015, claiming insanity, but received the same 30-year sentence as in the first trial. Ultimately, on July 23, 2015, her appeal reached the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court noted the case's brutality, her engagement in intercourse with another man even after abandoning the body, and her lack of guilt towards the victim's family, concluding that stern punishment was inevitable. They confirmed a 30-year prison sentence for Komisuk. Komisuk is imprisoned in Cheongju Women's Prison and is expected to be released at the age of 65 to 66. Komisuk, who shocked the world with her audacious crimes, later exhibited signs of mental illness and is reportedly transferred to a mental treatment detention center. Her actions, driven by a twisted blend of greed, a desire for revenge, and possibly untreated mental illness, resulted in a tragedy that devastated the victim's family and shocked the society at large. Thankfully, the quick arrest minimized the potential damage, as Komisuk could have claimed many more victims if not apprehended in a timely manner. As we reflect on this case, let us also extend our deepest sympathies to the victim and his family. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.